Hello. After a brief hiatus and a tricky letter, I'm back. Yeah, it's Q. But before I get to Q, I need to give you a little social history lesson. Scotland has a drugs problem. There's not enough of the good stuff. No, seriously. Scotland does have a drugs problem, and that can be traced back to the early 1980s when Conservative battle axe and wank material for Tories young and old, Margaret Thatcher, came to power. Her economic policy was to move Britain away from being a secondary economy, so one that made stuff, manufacturing, industry, to a tertiary economy, the service sector, mostly finance and banking. And fair dues, she managed to do that within 2 terms. But the problem was the brutal way that she did it. You see, some communities and entire towns were built around the industry. So, for example, if a coal mine or a shipyard or a steelworks was arbitrarily closed, sometimes with only a few weeks' notice, these areas were decimated. And on top of that, there was no plan or inclination to retrain this workforce. Another thing was most of the heavy industry was based in Scotland and the north of England, and those are areas or were areas that didn't normally vote Conservative. So they were not really concerned about retraining these people anyway, because they were never going to lose votes. So what happened was that these men, predominantly men, proud men, with no job, no retraining, and fuck all to do, turned to alcohol and or cheap Afghan heroin. And 40 years later, we're still dealing with the repercussions. So this, rather tenuously, brings us on to Q. Q is for quality, quality, quality. Not exactly a Scottish word, but it is when you say it as if you're constipated and with one eye closing. Quality is the adjective that Scottish junkies use to describe how good their gear is, gear being heroin. Oh man, that gear is quality. Aye man, pure quality. So, if you'll excuse me,